Okay, let's be real. If you grew up in the 80s or 90s, Recess was that Saturday morning show you had to watch. It had the perfect mix of friendship, comedy, and just enough rebellion to make you feel you were sticking it to the man. But here's the thing. What if I told you Recess wasn't just a goofy cartoon? What if all those playground antics were actually hiding some disturbingly dark meanings? Fair warning. Once you start pulling on the threads of fan theories, you'll never see Recess the same way again. Because today, we're diving into 10 dark theories about Recess that will ruin your childhood. And trust me, once you hear these, you can't unhear them. Check out the DVD in the description below for the links to relive this show. Also, send a super thanks to show us some love. This allows us to keep making those videos for y'all. And we love doing it too. But first, answer me this. Why do the kids of Recess never grow up, never move grades, and seem trapped in the 4th grade forever? Yeah, it's about to get weird.
What the?
Where's King Bob? Big Coop, King Bob, yesterday's news. Kindergartner's #1 now.
When you really stop and think about it, the Recess playground doesn't look much like a playground at all. It looks like a miniature prison yard that just happens to have monkey bars and a swing set. On the surface, it's supposed to be a place of freedom where kids let loose after sitting in classrooms all day. But in reality, everything is organized in a way that feels strangely rigid and almost oppressive. King Bob sits high on his throne like a warden, watching over everyone and handing down laws that the rest of the kids are forced to obey whether they like it or not. His word is the law, and there's no higher authority on the playground besides him.
New kid, you are no longer the new kid. From now on, you are,
Morris P. Hingle.
right. You are Morris P. Hingle again.
Oh, thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. Easy on the ring, huh?
Then you've got Miss Finster, who stalks around like a prison guard with a whistle, always ready to call out misbehavior or drag someone off to detention if they step out of line. And of course, Randall is the perfect stereotype of a prison snitch, always lurking in the shadows, listening in, and rushing back to report the tiniest infractions so he can earn favor with the guards. Even the punishments fit the prison theme. Step out of line, and you'll end up in detention, a dull, isolating box of punishment that some fans like to compare to solitary confinement. It's no wonder they call it the Hole. The social order only adds to the comparison. Every clique has its own rule and turf, just like prison gangs do. The Ashleys run their exclusive little kingdom, keeping their members in line and ruling over their corner of the playground like it's high society. The Diggers live for their work, endlessly digging without purpose, almost like prisoners put on chain gangs. Hustler Kid is the black market smuggler, operating in the shadows and supplying everyone with what they can officially get their hands on. Each group sticks together for survival, for protection, and for a sense of identity in a system where they really have no power. And here's the part that takes it from an interesting fan theory to something downright chilling. The United States has the highest prison population in the world, with over 2 million people behind bars. To some fans, it's no coincidence that Recess reflects that exact same structure, only scaled down to a kid's level. The playground becomes more than just a backdrop for silly adventures, it's a training ground, teaching kids early on what it feels like to be trapped in a world where someone else always holds the power, where freedom is just an illusion, and where survival depends on knowing your place in the hierarchy. Coming up, did you ever think to yourself, why is it that the kids never age? The answer is pretty shocking.
I don't want to talk about it, okay?
Why not?
'Cause I don't!
Come on, Spinelli, what's bugging you?
Yeah, let it out. Fine.
One of the strangest things about Recess is that no matter how many episodes you watch, the kids are always in the same grade. TJ and his friends never move up. They never celebrate birthdays. They never show any real passage of time. It's like they're frozen in one endless school year. For a lighthearted Saturday morning cartoon, that might not feel too unusual at first. After all, lots of animated shows keep their characters in the same age. But some fans started to wonder if there's something much darker behind this. The theory goes that the kids are actually dead, and the playground is their purgatory. Instead of moving through school like normal children, they're stuck in an endless loop, replaying Recess over and over again. Every day is the same, every game is the same, and no matter what happens in an episode, everything resets by the next one. According to the theory, They may have died together, possibly in a tragic school bus accident, and now their souls are trapped in limbo.
Yeah, well, maybe I am just a kid, but I'm not a kid who gives up so fast. I'm gonna go over there and fix that bus.
What? You gotta not
You're
kidding.
insane.
The playground becomes a ghostly halfway point where they work through their social struggles for eternity. It's a chilling idea because it flips the whole concept of the show on its head. Instead of being about the joy of childhood freedom, it becomes a story of innocence lost too soon. And when you look at the real-life numbers, it gets even more unsettling. Over 7,000 children in the US die every year from accidents, many of them sudden and tragic. Thinking of the Recess Gang as spirits frozen in time doesn't just make sense within the story, it's a reminder of how fragile childhood really is. So the next time you watch TJ rally the group for another scheme, imagine he's not leading kids into an adventure, he's leading them through the same cycle they've been doomed to repeat forever. And if you think that's creepy, wait until you hear what's going on with Randall. Because this next theory suggests his role on the playground is even darker than you remember.
This is way too good for Finster. Why, with dirt like this, I could, dare I say it, rule the playground!
Everyone remembers Randall, the sneaky tattletale who always lurked around corners and popped up at the worst times. But what if Randall wasn't just being a pest? What if Miss Finster was actually grooming him to become her replacement? Think about it. She constantly rewards him for spying. She calls him her little helper and treats him like her personal sidekick. Instead of encouraging him to build friendships or play with other kids, she pushes him further and further into isolation, teaching him that power comes from controlling others. The disturbing idea here is that Randall is being conditioned for a future where he grows up to be exactly like Miss Finster, bitter, controlling, and cruel. And here's the sad part. Studies show that kids who tattle excessively or display controlling behavior are 3 times more likely to continue those patterns into adulthood. Randall's entire character arc might be less about a quirky side character and more about the cycle of abuse repeating itself through generations. Miss Finster was once a Randall herself. Randall is her heir, destined to take her place.
I like you, Randall, but I can't afford any dead weight in my organization. Maybe we should talk about your retirement.
No, not that! Please, Miss Finster, give me one more chance!
It's a theory that turns one of the most annoying characters on the show into one of the most tragic. And if you think Randall's future looks bleak, wait until you see the signs of trauma hiding in plain sight with Gus. At first glance, Gus Griswold just seems like your typical new kid, nervous, eager to fit in, and a little bit awkward. But if you really watch his behavior throughout the series, it becomes clear that something much deeper is going on. Gus isn't just shy, he's showing signs of childhood PTSD. As a military brat, Gus has spent his entire life moving from place to place, never settling down long enough to make lasting friendships. That kind of constant upheaval can leave scars. He's overly obedient, always following authority to the letter, almost as if he's afraid of what will happen if he doesn't.
Guys, she's doing it! She's doing it!
Who's doing what, Gus?
Spinelli's going over the top, and she's doing it right now!
He panics under pressure, sometimes breaking down completely when the situations get stressful. And in one uncomfortable episode, he even creates Gus's new army, enforcing rigid military-style rules on the other kids. This isn't just play acting, it's a child processing trauma the only way he knows how, by mimicking the military order that shaped his life. And here's where the theory gets real. Research shows that nearly 30% of children in military families experience signs of anxiety or depression. Gus isn't just a cartoon stereotype, he's a reflection of what countless real kids live through in silence. And if you thought that was unsettling, it gets even darker when you realize that the adults in charge might actually want the playground cycle to continue forever. On the surface, Principal Prickly looks just like another bumbling administrator who doesn't really care what happens on the playground. But what if that's exactly what he wants you to think? Some fans believe Prickly isn't clueless at all. He's the puppet master, keeping the kids trapped in an endless cycle. If you pay attention, Prickly never actually resolves conflicts. He allows King Bob to stay in charge, even though his rule causes division. He lets cliques remain separated, never stepping in to unite the kids. And whenever a big change threatens the order of the playground, he intervenes just enough to restore the old balance.
It's okay, lad. I remember the first time I had to give it attention. It took me moments to calm down.
No, you don't understand. I liked it.
The idea here is that Prickly represents the system itself, an authority figure whose job isn't to help kids grow or evolve, but to make sure they stay in their lanes. Think about it. Kids spend more than 1,000 hours a year in school. It's basically their entire world. And if Prickly is the one pulling the strings, it means he's conditioning them to accept the very same rat race they'll face as adults. Freedom, rebellion, independence, it's an illusion he allows just enough to keep them from realizing the truth. But the Puppet Master theory is just the beginning, because when you look closer at TJ and the gang, another theory suggests they were never meant to represent just 6 kids. They might represent something much bigger. Have you ever noticed how each member of the Recess gang feels like they're turned up to 11 in terms of personality? They aren't just regular kids with quirks. They're exaggerated, almost like living caricatures. Some fans believe that's because each one of them was designed to represent a different childhood disorder, hidden in plain sight so that kids watching could relate without ever being directly told what was happening. Take TJ for example. He's the hyperactive leader who can't sit still, always bouncing from one scheme to the next. He never slows down, he never stops thinking of plans, and he has an energy level that borders on chaotic.
How can we know who you are if you don't even know who you are? New kid, I am not a new kid. I am a human being.
That constant restlessness lines up almost perfectly with the traits of ADHD. Then there's Gretchen, the brilliant brainiac of the group. She's the scientific genius, spouting facts and formulas that are way beyond her years. But she struggles socially, often missing cues and failing to connect with her peers in the same way they connect with each other. Her character lines up closely with traits often associated with autism spectrum disorder. Spinelli, on the other hand, is explosive. She's tough, defiant, and always ready to fight against authority. She's fiercely loyal to her friends, but her temper flares in seconds, and she often lashes out at anyone who threatens her. To many fans, she represents anger management struggles or even oppositional defiant disorder, a condition where kids feel an almost uncontrollable need to challenge rules and authority. Vince is different, but no less complex. He's the star athlete, the kid who's always competing, always needing to be number one, and constantly feeling the pressure to live up to expectations. That perfectionist streak, combined with his fear of failure, fits the traits of performance anxiety. Then you've got Mikey, the big, gentle giant who loves poetry and music. He's incredibly sweet, but beneath that kindness, there's a layer of melancholy that never really goes away. He's often shown reflecting on life, thinking deeply about big questions and sometimes seeming weighed down by emotions.
Oh, great guru kid. Our friend has been thrown into detention. Then we know not what to do.
Many fans see him as the embodiment of childhood depression, always trying to smile, but never quite able to hide the heaviness he carries inside. And of course, Gus, the awkward new kid and military brat, clearly shows signs of trauma. His strict obedience to authority, his panic in stressful situations, and his desperate attempts to control his environment point towards PTSD, especially considering the real-world struggles many military children face. When you put all of this together, the Recess gang stops looking like just a fun group of mismatched kids and starts looking like a carefully crafted collection of real-world struggles. It's almost as if the writers wanted kids who were dealing with these issues to see themselves on screen, but in a way that didn't feel heavy or clinical. Instead of labeling it, they turned it into characters we could laugh with, root for, and see as heroes. And here's where it really hits hard. Studies show that 1 in 6 kids in the US today has a mental health disorder. That means that when we're sitting on the couch in the 90s with our bowls of cereal watching TJ and the gang take it on the playground, chances are we were looking at a reflection of ourselves or our friends in ways we didn't even realize at the time. The Recess crew might have been more than just 6 kids running wild during recess. They might have been a hidden way of showing children everywhere that their struggles were real, valid, and worth being seen, even if nobody ever said it out loud.
The fun is in playing and catching the...
Got it.
You're
Another theory flips the script even more. Instead of seeing the playground as prison, what if it's a complete dystopian society designed to mirror the adult world? The Ashleys are the rich elite who control fashion and popularity. Hustler Kid is a shady businessman, always selling things under the table. The Diggers are the blue-collar workers endlessly toiling away with no reward. King Bob sits on his throne like a political figurehead, pretending to rule but never really actually changing anything. And of course, detention is a prison system waiting for anyone who dares to step out of line. Here's the unsettling part. By the time kids are 6 years old, most already recognize class differences. Recess may have been teaching us how society works long before we ever realized it. The playground wasn't just a place for fun. It was a training ground for real life. I bet you've never heard of this next theory. Let me know in the comments if you have ever heard of any of these so far. Miss Finster has always been a mystery. Why is she so mean? Why is she so bitter? Why does she seem to take pleasure in crushing kids' joy? Some fans have a chilling answer. Miss Finster is a failed child star.
Just as I thought, the criminal always returns to the scene of the crime.
But Miss Finster, you dragged me here. I didn't do nothing.
Oh, really? What's this then?
I did it, signed TJ?
Aha!
According to this theory, Finster grew up in the spotlight, pushed to succeed, but her career burned out before she ever reached adulthood. She ended up resentful, angry, and broken. Now, as a teacher, she projects her own pain onto her students. She punishes them for having fun and freedom because those are the things she never had. And Randall, clinging to her every word, becomes another casualty, someone destined to repeat her cycle of bitterness. It's not just discipline, it's projection of a ruined childhood. Now let's talk about Mikey, the gentle giant with a voice like an angel. Some fans believe Mikey isn't even real. Think about it. He's often separated from the main story, singing to himself, talking about poetry, or musing about spiritual ideas. He's too good, too pure, too unreal. The theory suggests that Mikey is TJ's imaginary friend, created as a coping mechanism for the stress of the playground. Mikey represents innocence and goodness, the kind of friend TJ wishes he had. And here's the creepy part. Studies show that 65% of kids have imaginary friends at some point. What if Mikey was just that? An imaginary friend TJ never let go of?
What is it, my child?
How can I get my parents to let me watch more TV?
Cease becoming my friend. Begin to be.
And finally, the darkest theory of all. What if TJ and the gang never actually made it to 4th grade at all? What if they're still kindergartners, imagining everything? Think about it. In the show, the kindergartners are portrayed as wild, chaotic, and almost feral. Well, what if that's the reality, and the entire Recess series is just their fantasy of what it would be like to be the big kids? Their adventures, their roles in the playground society, even their friendships. It could all be pretend. If that's true, then the Recess gang never grew up, they never got older, and they never actually made it out of kindergarten. It was all just in their heads. So there you have it. 10 dark theories that make Recess a whole lot creepier than we remembered. From playground prisons and childhood trauma to imaginary friends and failed childhood dreams, suddenly our favorite Saturday morning cartoon doesn't feel so lighthearted anymore. So which one of these theories ruined your childhood the most? And do you have a darker one in mind that I didn't mention? Let me know in the comments because I love going down these nostalgic rabbit holes just like you. And if you were a kid in the 80s or 90s, you know this is just the beginning. Hit that like button, subscribe, and drop a super thanks to keep these deep dives coming. Because trust me, we've got plenty more childhood cartoons to ruin together. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.